Who are you? And what do you bring to the equation? We're talking about strengths and personality tests. We need to understand if we're going to increase our impact in life, who are we at our core? We're going to cover personality tests and strength tests on this, and specifically the Gallup Strengths, the CliftonStrengths test, because it is, in my mind, one of the best tools out there. And we want to start just understanding strengths themselves. Because too often, people chase all sorts of trends and fads and ideals they have in their mind. This is what it takes to be successful. I've got to be like this person. This is what I think a leader should do or be, and so I need to be like that person. And then we spend the rest of our lives trying to be someone that we're not. And so with this test, we're going to open it up here and I'll share my results. The beautiful thing about this test is that what it does is it asks you, how do you show up in these situations? And after you do a 20 to 30 minute test, it's going to break down your pattern of behaviors into 34 different strengths listed from top to lowest. And you can see here that there's a breakdown here of the top 10 and especially the top 5. That's why you're as special or at times as weird as you are. When we look at these things behind the scenes or under the hood, we start to see that maybe you are how you are because you're living out of your strengths. Now, the beautiful thing about this test is that while other tests, there are limited options. For Myers-Briggs, for example, there are 16. Let's look at that one there. There's 16 possible combinations of results. And that's great. It was helpful. But when we do something like CliftonStrengths, it arranges them. And we can see how many different options there are. Things like futuristic, things like competition or harmony, empathy. These are strengths that we're hardwired with. And there are over 33 million possible arrangements of all these strengths. Let's look at my strength test just to show practically it's an incredible insight into how we're wired. And the first time I read it, I thought, my goodness, that's who I am. That's me, yes. And I also used it to justify to my wife, that's why I do what I do. Let's see this example here. This is what the report will look like. And we can see different categories: executing, influencing, relationship building, strategic. These are different categories of strengths that we've got going on here. And for me, futuristic. Let's look over there. Futuristic is my top strength. It means that I can see the future. I can see what could be so beautifully. I'm the first person, if someone's vision casting, I get it. I'm in. But activator, I got to do something. I gotta put plans to action. It's how I'm wired. Strategic, my mind's always thinking of the next piece, the next play, and trying to move the steps around, making things happen. Learner, I need to consume. I'm addicted to learning. And input is about collecting. And so because I'm a learner and because I want to build the future, I collect books. All these books on my shelf and all the boxes that are stored in our garage. I collect things. I collect learnings. I collect books. And it's what I bring to the table. When I'm on teams, I'm going to inspire people to learn and to grow. What do you bring to the table? And so as you do this test and as you review your results, we want to take a little bit of ownership and pride that this is me. This is not better or worse than someone else. I'm going to own these things. I'm going to actually celebrate who I am and realize that we all need these strengths in our lives. But sometimes what we do is we look at the bottom. Now here's the bottom for me. Out of all 34, empathy is near the bottom. Harmony is near the bottom. To me, keeping things comfortable and status quo and making sure everyone is okay. That's a great strength, and we need that. But that's not in my wiring. And so you can imagine what types of things get me in trouble at times. I might be a little edgy if I'm not careful. And so what we could do in life is we could say, you know what? I need to chase developing these bottom things because that's going to help me be more impactful. Now, there is some value. Make sure that we're not tripping ourselves up. I can get myself in trouble if I'm not careful. And thankfully, my wife, empathy is near her top. So she'll say to me at times, well, just heads up, here's how you're coming off. Or she'll cut in and say, hey, Will actually means this, and she'll interpret when I have some rough edges. But I don't need to spend my whole life trying to become the harmony master, trying to become someone who creates these beautiful, harmonious spaces. That will be like an uphill battle for me. It's not in my wiring. I don't naturally think of it. But when I look at things like, back to my strengths, when I look at things like futuristic, activator, there's wind in my sails. There's a momentum that happens when I do these things. I love sitting around and dreaming about the future and scheming and planning. And if I spend my time working on the bottom or things that I'm not or things that I'm told I should be, I may never reach my full potential in life. And so what we want to do is take our understanding of who we are and guard against some of those weaknesses or blind spots, but we want to hone in. And an example of that might look like this. For me, with futuristic, I'm really good at seeing the future. I can see what could be. And to get more effective in life, maybe I should learn to communicate more effectively. If I can see things and I'm a great envisioner, but I can't get it out of my mouth into someone else's ears and then into their heart, if I can't effectively move people to action with what I can see, then I've limited myself. Activator. If I want to do something and move people to action, maybe there are skills around activator that I need to develop. Maybe I learn how to coach people. I went through a coaching program. Maybe I learn how to do more teaching skills, adult learning principles. How do I make sure that I'm actually communicating in a way that effectively activates people? So all of these different skills, we can start to see how when we put them together, it shows in how we show up in life, what we bring to the table. There are some things that you'll notice where you will always be more X, Y, Z. You'll always be more like this than someone else. And to some degree, people will not be able to catch up to you. And that's okay. For example, futuristic, I'm very visionary. I don't need everyone else to be as visionary as me, but I hope that it rubs off on you. I hope that it starts to spark something in you. It's a rubbing off. It's an impartation. It's a gift where if you hang around me, and you're watching this video, so you're hanging around me, you're going to start to see things that could be. And you're starting to get addicted to learning. You're going to start to want to read books or listen to podcasts because that's who I am and that's what I bring to the world. I want to share one more example here because sometimes what we do with our strengths is we might discount them. Or we might think that because I have these things, I can't lead. Here's the test of someone that I worked with before. We promoted this person to a supervisor role. And look at their top. A lot of blue. And blue means relationships. This person is a relationship wizard. There's someone who connects and brings people together. Adaptability and empathy. Relator, they connect with people, and developer and includer. You can start to picture, I think I can see what type of person that is. But notice the colors orange, blue, purple, green. What's not in there? Orange. Orange is the influencing, the traditional leader traits that we think of. Now, without any orange in her top 10, her primary way of showing up, does that mean she can't influence people? No. But it means that she's going to draw from different strengths. She may not be the most charismatic and outgoing person on a platform, but behind the scenes, this person is going to connect with you and you're going to feel more seen and more heard than anyone that you've ever met. This person gets me. That's what you're going to say about people like this. And so when this person steps up on a stage and asks you to do something or tries to generate action, they might not be the wordsmith, they might not be the charmer or the inspirational figure, but because they have a relationship strength, you're going to want to do what they ask because you feel connected to them. So consider that as you evaluate that there's different ways to be you and to show up in a way that it doesn't need to be someone else to thrive. The first step of growing in your influence is recognizing and then owning what are your strengths. I hope that you can take some pride and reflect as you watch this, whether you have currently been going through the strengths test, whether you're planning to do it. There's something special inside of you. And maybe this is a challenge and an encouragement. Maybe this is a wake-up call. Stop trying to be someone else. Stop apologizing for who you're not. And when you begin to identify, these are my strengths, these are my superpowers, we can hone them in, we can sharpen them, we can build around them to increase our impact and bring a gift to the world around us. People might not operate at that level, but you're gonna pull people along and bring them into something beautiful as you own who you are. What are your strengths and what do you bring to the world?